Hello, we are starting our next roundtable, and I would like to say a few words. This is a special event, Laser Talk Brussels, but that going during the weekend of the Cookery in iMAL. And today we are streaming roundtable, and the subject, and this is gathering the project Reality in Transition. So I would like to give already microphone to Lucia Garcia. She is the director of iMAL, and also she is a part of this organization of this project. So please and enjoy our conversation.
Thank you, Alexandra. I will briefly give you some context because we've been mentioning realities in transition, which sounds really well. But Realities in Transition, in fact, is the name of a European project in which 7 different organizations are partaking. This is a transnational cooperation project for those of you that apply for the Creative Europe projects. So you know this is an intermediary scale project in which we have a leader, and the leader is Second Nature. We don't have them here right now because they just came out. There you are, or wherever. But yeah, so Second Nature is the leader. But then we have other organizations like Dark Euphoria, Maggie is here, Left Festival, Cristina de Silva. And we have V2, Sita is moderating for us this roundtable. And I'm missing our friends from Ars Electronica. I think Vanessa is somewhere around. Then that's it. Then iMAL. And Container, sorry, my friends. Sorry, Anna. Sorry, Teresa. Yeah, when you always have to repeat all those names, it just gets confusing, you know. Then you do these long applications and then you just don't know where you are anymore. But, okay, so Realities in Transition is this 3-year project in which we intend to create a community around XR and the social and cultural issues that arises from the use of these technologies, and we really want to put or make at the end of the project a manifesto that comes with a very strong artistic approach. And I will just pass on the microphone to my colleague, my Spanish colleague, Cristina from Left Festival, and she will quickly introduce some of the activities that they have already been undertaken in Gijón and Madrid, in Matadero. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Cristina from LEF. In fact, I have problems with my English, so Lucia is going to translate a bit, but I will be supported by some short videos that I would like to show you. Bueno, la idea sería mostrar una de las primeras actividades que se hizo en RIT.
So one of the first activities that took place in this project actually happened in Madrid, at Matadero. I'm translating something that you haven't even said yet.
Yes. Thank you.
It's an XR project, you know.
Es la inteligencia artificial. No, es una exposición que trata sobre el metaverso, que es ahora mismo una palabra que creo que es ambigua, ¿no? Porque es una palabra que se está usando mucho y que realmente ni yo misma, ¿no? ni creo que la mayoría de la gente tiene claro realmente lo que puede llegar a significar.
So the exhibition tackles the concept of metaverse as an ambiguous concept, because in fact we don't really know what we're talking about.
Pero sí que tengo claro lo que no significa, y lo que no significa es que exista un único metaverso, sino que creo que pueden existir muchísimos metaversos Y para nosotros, desde luego, la manera en que lo hemos concebido en la exposición es que los metaversos son a día de hoy un espacio de creación y de resiliencia.
So, well, we don't know what we're talking about when we say metaverse, but what we really do know is that there are many different metaverses. And this is what the exhibition is all about. ¿Qué más has dicho?
Un espacio para la creación y resiliencia.
So it's a space, I think everybody understood, for creation and resilience.
Sí, nada que ver con el comercio, ¿no?
And nothing to do with, commercial, yeah.
El festival LEF, que ha dado forma a esta exposición, tiene un recorrido de 16 años en el que hemos estado trabajando en la creación audiovisual entendida de una manera muy amplia, siempre buscando un poco los límites y todas las hibridaciones. Y desde hace 4 años estamos trabajando muy fuertemente también en lo que es todo lo relacionado con las realidades extendidas, porque para nosotros no deja de ser creación audiovisual. Y entonces me gustaría poneros un vídeo de contexto de 2 minutos de un poco, pues eso, dónde está situada esta exposición, ¿no?, que está teniendo lugar ahora mismo en Madrid.
So for those of you that don't know about LEF Festival started 16 years ago. And it's a festival devoted to audiovisual creation. And since 4 years now, they've been also, as part of this audiovisual creation context, they've been exploring extended realities. And Christina's going to show some excerpts of the activities that they've been doing in this framework.
No hay un solo tipo de performance ni un solo tipo de música o actuación.
In a festival like this, I think what connects all of the things is the audiovisual aspect. Concerts or performances connected to sound and video, immersive pieces or XR pieces like virtual reality.
Creo que hay como formatos que explotan y salen del metaverso.
You can create a living virtual environment for people to visit, and it can be transformed.
Artists using video game as a format to do so many experiments.
Como la excitación que uno tiene cuando empieza a hacer algo nuevo.
The borders melt between the art forms.
At the beginning, it's more like cinema. Then I started learning about new media art. That is a connection with dissolving body and evolution to the next level.
Of course, we learned a lot from the game developers because most of the techniques are the same. But in terms of story or the experience, we always try to provide something different.
Yo sigo usando el primer software con el que mezclaba video, que es un software de VJ. Ahora estoy utilizando ese software con nuevos Game Engine. Lo que genera estos puentes son de que las herramientas empiecen a ser más de otras áreas.
It can be a work that goes to a museum, but it can also go to a club or a game arcade.
Pues una parte de los artistas que estamos viendo en este vídeo ahora mismo son artistas que de hecho iban a participar en la edición del LEF en 2020 cuando llegó el COVID, y entonces ese año tomamos la decisión de formar un metaverso y que de alguna manera todos ellos pudieran participar con sus piezas, incluyéndolas, ¿no?, en este metaverso. Y ese fue el primer acercamiento que tuvimos realmente. La verdad es que nos pegamos un curro de 5 meses en los que estuvimos prácticamente sin dormir. Y a partir de ahí, entonces, y estos artistas han vuelto ahora en el 2023 a poder participar en real life, ¿no? Pero bueno, a lo que le doy importancia de todo esto es que de alguna manera la exposición Metaversos, Realidades en Transición, que bebe, ¿no?, del nombre de la red de la que participamos, lo que se buscó fue buscar proyectos que habían intentado dar solución, ¿no?, al contexto del COVID, y de alguna manera proyectos que buscaron alternativas para poder relacionarse, para poder seguir creando y para poder, pues eso, buscar alternativas a lo que estaba sucediendo.
So the artists partaking at the exhibition, most of them were artists that were meant to participate at the real-life edition of LEF Festival in 2020, but COVID arrived, and therefore they had to work intensely for 5-6 months with no sleep at all to try to make it happen no matter what. And afterwards, they have finally invited them to participate in real life in this exhibition. And yeah, also Christina was mentioning that for them it's also interesting to ask their artists to explore the idea of how they, at that moment of COVID, they could extend their abilities as artists to actually approach situations as the one that we were immersed because of the sanitary crisis.
Y nada, entonces de ahí surgió la idea de trabajar con todos estos artistas para hacer esta exposición que muestra, ¿no?, algunos metaversos que ya pues han finalizado, ¿no?, y que tuvimos que volver de alguna manera a subir a los servidores, y otros que están en activo. Os voy a poner ahora sí que un vídeo muy breve sobre la exposición, y de alguna manera todas estas actividades, la exposición, todas las actividades paralelas, la convocatoria que hubo ahora de residencias artísticas, toda esta información relacionada con RIT, pues de alguna manera la podréis seguir siguiendo en el futuro en la web de la red.
So, some of the metaverses that were created by the artists have finished, but some of them are still alive, from what I understood. And she's going to show an excerpt of these metaverses. And if you want to follow up on some of them, you can still do it through the website of the Realities in Transition project.
La exposición Metaversos, Realidades en Transición, presenta una selección de entornos virtuales creados por y para artistas como nuevos espacios de creación y resiliencia. Se trata de una visión alternativa y esperanzadora frente a la ambición de las grandes compañías de colonizar estos territorios para el consumo.
El término metaverso se acuñó en la novela de ciencia ficción Snow Crash de Neil Stephenson en 1992 como una palabra para describir el ciberespacio del futuro. Con el metaverso predijo la experiencia virtual, pero también presentó un porvenir distópico en el que los gobiernos habrían perdido su poder frente a las grandes corporaciones y poderes económicos globales.
Los metaversos son una realidad cada vez más presente en nuestras vidas. Una realidad múltiple y compleja, pero que no es una realidad definitiva. Por eso es importante un nuevo pensamiento y una práctica que afronte de manera crítica los nuevos retos y las implicaciones políticas del nuevo paisaje mediático y digital en el que estamos entrando.
Está en nuestras manos diseñar el futuro digital que queremos y proporcionar las medidas para que los metaversos sean espacios creativos, accesibles, sostenibles y diversos.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that presentation, Christina, and thank you also for introducing the Realities in Transition Consortium. We can move a chair, actually, yes. All right, so my name is Sita. I'm a project manager at V2 Lab in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And today we saw already a lot of presentations. And this morning we also had a meeting with the consortium, but also with Bavo, with Gat, with Ishtar and Eric, to discuss certain things and themes concerning XR. And as we've seen all of these presentations, maybe it's also nice to go into conversation with each other. What do we feel about it? I have a few questions, but I would also like to allow space for the audience. If you have any questions that today you really felt like you wanted to address and maybe there was no time for that, then this is really a conversation. So I'm not going to ask you to wait and hold your questions until the end of this. If there's a question that's popping up for you, just show me your hand, I'll give you the mic, and you'll be able to to discuss this with us. My first question that we were also talking about is maybe also coming from your own practices and also your own personal interests in working in this field is, what would you say is the biggest challenge working within this field that you feel that is still maybe something that needs to be developed, something that needs to be thought through, something that needs to be discussed more? And I'm curious to hear from you, whoever feels that wants to contribute, what that is for you. And maybe we can have a conversation about it. And you can grab the mic that's on the table.
I think like most people who work with art and technology, you have an idea of where you want to go, and then you kind of have to start making compromises almost immediately because it's technically or logistically or something not possible. Then this creates like a creative phase, which is nice, but there's always a distance between what you dream of and what you can do, which is typical for this type of art, I think. So for me, that's the biggest barrier.
Yeah, if you want to respond, you can, or I can give you my mic.
Yeah, for me, I think there's the meta question, which is like, are we doing something good, or are we kind of contributing to plugging humanity into the matrix? So there's all kind of questions of like, are we cool to do this type of work? But if you ignore that and say, okay, let's just try it out and see what comes out of this technology, then I think for us being a product, but also working in art and entertainment, the biggest challenge is, I think from the technology perspective, you can stretch the tools and use the tools. They kind of set your boundaries of what is possible, and then you can kind of flourish and find your expression inside there. For us, I think a big challenge is, how do we scale the audience side? So if I'm making a piece or a product for VR first, I want that creators on our platform will have opportunity to connect with people around the world. That's kind of the promise of digital technology. So I think it's a challenge to either translate that medium from VR, since it's a very small market, translate it into other mediums where more people can approach it. How does that work? And how do you create content and pieces that are engaging on all sorts of mediums?
Can you maybe shortly share, Gat, where you come from? Like, what is the company that you work for? Because I'm not sure, you didn't give a presentation.
Yeah, that's true. So, hi, I'm Gad Hinkis, originally from Israel, lived in Berlin, and I've been a musician for like 20 years, music producer. Along the way, I became obsessed with making intuitive music instruments that enable anyone to interface with music in an intuitive and fun, playful way. I share a lot of sentiment with some colleagues here about getting people to play together and kind of inspire each other. And with Patch XR, the company I'm now leading content and the product side, we are not from the research and not from academy or art. We're a product, but the product is built to empower creatives to create, build metaverses, immersive music, and worlds, interactive, anything from a show to a game to building an instrument in VR. So we see VR as a huge opportunity to empower creativity in completely new ways, and we want to kind of lower the bar of entry so you don't need to learn Unity or coding to be a technology artist and find these new frontiers. So we have an app on the Quest store, and and you can basically create your own little games or music experiences.
Yeah, so my approach would be, I think there's a need that we could take possession of it. So we are dependent, of course, for technology, formats, platforms, all these kind of things of other structures. And the very fact that we are talking now about the metaverse is, of course, because Meta launched the idea of the metaverse, which is of course older than Meta, and we didn't need that, in fact. And there's enough creativity in the art world to create our own platforms and to try to go where the medium should lead us, and not directed towards, and you can entertain, and you can fitness, and you can do this. And that's of course the business model behind, which has all rights and is maybe necessary. But we have always to wait until something is to be provided, and there is no need for that. There's no need. And so, in a way, the art should be able to take possession of it, like in the early days of the internet, to go free and to develop a metaverse-like thing the way we think it should be. I think this sounds very like, yeah, free, of course, but it is possible, and it's already possible for a long time. It's in fact, it's amazing that we had to wait until now for many aspects. And there is enough creativity, but of course you need the means to do it. So you need a platform to develop it. And of course, at the other side, how do you sell your work? How do you live from it? It's all related, but we don't need to wait for these formatted answers that we're getting now. I do not want to be negative that it is there, but...
But what do you mean not to wait? Not to wait for what? For like more people to have access to a headset? Or what do you mean by it?
Well, there is enough possibilities of have worlds where you can walk along a whole building, mix with other worlds and other sites and things like that. It is possible technically to do it. Experimentally, you can do it. I mean, metaverse-like ideas which are already there for a while, and what can you do with it? And if you do something in it, what is so special about it? Is it only the fact that we can meet, or is something happening? So I gave the history of Crew in the talk a few hours ago, because at the beginning we were forced to think about what is this thing doing to you, and not simply by I'm looking now around in an image. No, what does it do to you? What kind of things come out of it? So I'm sure that working online in embodied at several places at the same time, at the same moment, and all these things, something will come out that is not what is being proposed now from a logical point of view. You can fitness, you can do this, you can do all these kind of things, and we should go after that kind of things, and we should take possession of it for that.
So for me, because I think everything that what you say now, it's really, I mean, like not even understandable for so many people. I think what we are interested in, and one of the challenge we have is kind of finding how we can also get out of XR and bring XR in spaces where it's not yet, like in physical spaces, and how we can also use XR just as a brick of a lot of different stuff, and how we can create transdisciplinary projects that build on XR, but not only. And for example, how XR could be a tool for example, choreographer or performers who would love to just renew their relationship to their audience, or renew how the stage is perceived, or so yes, I would say sorry, I didn't introduce, I'm a producer, and we work a lot with artists not coming from the field of XR, and I just want to try new stuff regarding audience, regarding interaction and stuff. And this is a bit what we are trying to do, like put XR a bit out of the device or out of the online space. But this is our interest.
No, it's remarkable that, for example, for people who are used to VR and everything, it has been existing for a very long time. It just changed its name. For us, it changed all the time, spatial computing, whatever. And it's kind of the same. But what can be very frustrating, and I think that was what Eric was referring to as well, is like, for example, we could come with the same concepts 1 year ago. We could come to people and say, guys, we know what we have something amazing. We're going to do it. You're going to see if we do it, it's going to blow everybody's mind. Like, yeah, no. And Zuckerberg does a stupid presentation of 20 minutes, which makes absolutely no sense at all. And all of a sudden, the European Commission, everybody moves in this direction. And it's so frustrating because we can show where to go in many ways from the arts and research and everything. And we need to wait for some kind of mogul to say, okay, now we can go there. This can be, it's very frustrating in a way, I think.
Thank you for translating. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, thank you. Really. No.
Can I answer to that? Because like, he created a device that costs less than an iPhone, that people can experience all of this, potentially all of the creativity that is going into this field. And he brought it, I mean, only after he bought it, then the price managed to be low. We don't know if how it would have come out, a standalone device that anyone can...
I'll try to be more precise. So we are in several research projects. This is mostly with engineers. And engineers think in a, let's say, mechanical way. So they have a goal, there's a thing to develop, and then there is marketing people in the background who, this is what we need to develop. What?
No, sorry.
Yeah. So in a rational way, you develop until what you need. That way we'll never have a good type of medium. Never.
What way we won't have
no,
a good type of medium?
If you develop all these kind of things in rational terms, what do we need? What do people need? What is the demand for? What would make sense to? So then you will have a kind of a medium that answers that. If you really want to search what is the nature of this thing, what does this produce that before we did not have, then you should work in arts. And then you should go in the arts after it with no agenda, and just by working and doing things, and that's what I mean.
So you're saying that if by the nature of building something that people want, that's not, that you don't get to the essence of what is possible?
Well, can you repeat it?
You're saying that it sounded like, how I understood it, is that by building something that people want, you don't really get to the essence of what is possible to create.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're talking about media, so it's like cinema. How does cinema work? How was the cinema language invented? In the beginning, they were rationally thinking about it. It's theater. We are in front of the camera, and then people started throwing and moving with cameras. Nobody understood. So, wow, giant. No, it's a close-up. So this thing had to be developed by doing and by people managing, and that was the language that was to be constructed, which then was able to produce something that other media were not possible.
So you're
and
saying...
now, yeah, so I'm about the media, so I'm talking about the medium.
So you're saying that researchers and experimentalists need to develop techniques that, but should it just stay there, or should it be then like reach audiences?
I think it's fine that all these things happen. The point is that in the arts, because the question was, what do you think is important? That is that the arts finds the power and the structure and the means to to plug in that field and to go after what can we do with this thing without agendas that are now usually being fixed for this kind of research.
Okay. For, like, why not? Why is having an agenda like?
Yeah, but
not.
I'm not saying complicated things.
Okay.
Do you mean from coming from a top-down, like a company that is giving us these technologies, but also saying how we can use it, instead of coming together as like a group of artists or visionaries to rethink how we want to use it?
You are all too rational.
Hi.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
Heated debate.
Hi, I'm Hario. I'm also from Crew, just for clarification and transparency.
He's a plant. He's a plant.
No, but just to give it like from the technical side, we're working with lots of new headsets and stuff like that, and we really always want to go further with it, but we always run into limitations from the API or from what is either for security reasons where it's limited by Meta or Vive. So that's one of those things that we limit. Like, we want to turn off the boundary. Let us do that, but it never lets us to do that, and just gives us a notification and just shuts down the whole thing. We would like to actually just be able to mess around with it, and we feel that the companies are not letting us do that.
That's a really good point. That I completely understand, because you want to push the technology as far as you can.
Yeah, something that a small thing. So you're talking about the arts, but I, as a researcher, maybe have my own agenda. But saying that the sciences themselves are another practice that can inform and should inform. And I know that you're working, you said before, inspired by fundamental scientific insights. Because the biggest challenge, indeed, that it's a powerful medium, yes. That it's completely new, I agree, no, because there have been powerful developments before as well. But it does imply, and we had a conversation this morning, if putting headsets on people that have mental issues, or giving headsets to children, or staying in too long, and so on and so on, the psychological consequences can be very big. And so the arts and the sciences and some of the work that we've seen today also, I think, can serve and aid into what Erik was saying, the nature of the actual medium, to help us create and indeed steer this container into a hopeful, better future. I don't want to sound, it might also sound a bit idealistic and free very quickly, which might be dangerous, but the power indeed for me comes from the disruptive forces lying inside the arts and the sciences, and to be aware of that, to have a conversation about that, to be active about it, to act on that, create the works that were presented today, and inspired by fundamental insights from the sciences, I think is a way to go, but the big challenge to indeed balance with the other forces in play.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm always very unclear. I'm sorry. I give some similar examples, but it's not to, let's say, to boast about certain things of the past, but it's just to give an example. So, like we have been in this thing already for a long while. We always, there's no business model, there's no future for that. So until 2013, Oculus Rift was bought by Facebook, and then suddenly there was a business model for everything. So suddenly everything with the same people suddenly switched 180 degrees, and suddenly it was clear. Whereas it was already clear for a while. You can experience it. Why don't you feel it? How can you not see it? The thing was, you need to move in this space. You need to move. It's essential. Well, no, but it took a long time before finally they started providing things we were moving. We knew that for a long time. Not only we, I'm sure many people know if you use this equipment, this make it work. There are many other things that we feel now. This is what works. That is in the arts. That is how we work. So that's what I mean with agendas. But if you say, okay, we need to have therapies for this and that, then you end up in different strategies. So we should be able to do this kind of research instead of waiting for tools with limited potential that are not serving what we can in fact do with it. That's what I mean with, I hope I'm kind of...
But I have a question. You think it's because of technological or, this kind of limitations, that is why not so much people are experimenting and enjoying and going in this metaverse or XR stuff?
But
this is my question.
I think what's important, so yes, a part of it is technological, but a part of it, and I see that you're very enthusiastic about it, but the part of it is that they want to create a platform. And this is a platform, and on this platform we're going to create all kinds of solutions for all kinds of problems. But it doesn't really make sense. So they make something very general, but they make it very general, but it has to fit the market. So you can move maybe in a 2x2 meter thing, and then you need this, and then you need an account, and from a good idea it becomes so encapsulated, but they use the technology to encapsulate it. And the thing is, then you get something. I personally know nobody who's truly enthusiastic about consumer VR. Maybe you, I don't know, but like I don't find it a very creative space. I think the games are boring. It's kind of cool for training in industry, but otherwise, it's not fulfilling on its potential at all. Like
I agree. I actually agree, and I think that it's embarrassing how much there's not enough creative and quality content on these platforms. Hopefully, I would let you show you what we're doing. So maybe that would hopefully you would get excited about what we're trying to do in this space. But I think that this, where the conversation started from is scalability, not necessarily on the marketing side of things. I think that's the big question, because if there wasn't this platform, how do we reach? Even with this platform, it's not enough, right? So that's exactly it. Because
but
the work that you do,
you take for granted the fact that you want to reach as many people as possible. I have no intention of reaching as many people as possible. Already, this way of thinking, from me, from an artistic point of view, you're kind of doing it wrong. Like, how can I make something which is interesting for everybody? I think it's impossible. I don't even want to start. But you start from a generic, from this idea that you can generalize the concept, and I think this is the exact reason why there's so little content, because you're not really, like for example, Meta is now investing in production studios to make content, and they decided which are the codes that have to be used, which are the codes from cinema and all these type of things. But there's nobody really thinking, it seems, about what you really should be presenting on these type of things, which is very strange.
I think it's very easy to say when you're well funded, but if you're an artist and you're trying to make an audience and trying to build your career, trying to make a living with your art, you really are thinking about reaching people. You are thinking about selling tickets, thinking about...
No, but you can sell tickets, but I completely understand, and I respect everybody who tries to make a living. This is not the issue at all. But it is true, like for example, I know people who do theater things in Norway, who do theater performances in VR, and they manage to make a business out of it without wanting to download it everywhere.
But some people are obsessed with reaching, with impacting lives of a lot of people. There are Justin Biebers in the world. They're not only...
Yes, but should there be? Should there be? This is the question.
No, but also we shouldn't oppose artists who want to reach a lot of people and artists who kind of keep their purity. Right? I mean, for me, this is luckily there is a in between, and you can also want to reach a lot of people with your own artistic, independent, and quality vision and works. So we shouldn't go in this.
I completely agree. It should not be snobbish, but it should.
Then, as a VR artist, then send in work in a festival. What do they ask? What is the first thing they do ask until now? What do they ask? So, you want as an artist, you want to present your work. Yeah. They will ask. Most festivals try to have a format. Don't make it too long, like 5-10 minutes. If you use space, no more than so all these kind of things. From a commercial point of view, this is purely logical, because they want, of course, they need audiences, they have sponsors, all these kind of things. But from the point of view of the medium, it makes no sense. This is not the way things will be moving forward. So the art should be the place where these kind of things can be done, and then they will be recuperated by the industry.
But that's what happened, and you're not happy because you've been working.
Well, but it should be. We can go much faster and much wider. So this metaverse thing. Why do we need to wait?
But it's a good example, because everybody's waiting for the metaverse. But it's true that they presented it as a metaverse, the things in the festival?
For example, we discussed a bit this morning, and I mean, because metaverse is one thing, but XR can also be connected to physical experiences. And for example, a lot of festivals or venues, like cultural venues, they don't want to go in the metaverse. They want to bring people back, you know, in their physical places and make people also connect physically. And one of their feedbacks, some gave me, like a fee center in Montreal or stuff, is like too much artists don't think about the whole experience. Like the experience begins inside the VR headset, but they are like, no, we want the experience to begin even before you put the headset. And why should you put the headset? And will you feel comfortable? Do you sit? Do you stand? Is the place nice? Do people look at you regarding the content you are watching and everything? And I think it's, we also talked a lot about, is your body or embodiment is disappearing or not when you are in a virtual space? And actually, I mean, scientifically doesn't, I guess. So this is something that also has to be taken in account, I guess, when we talk about metaverse, or at least that I think people who run art places think a lot about.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I'm also a bit conscious of the time, and I have another question. But first, is there maybe someone in the audience that has a challenge for themselves that they feel that they want to share? Yeah.
Hello. As an artist, making my own interactive experiences, working with installations, working with fully digital works, but also sometimes as a curator or organizer, I struggle a lot with educating my audience on either how to experience my work or how to experience works of others. And I'm just wondering, sometimes as an artist, what is my role in how should I teach my audience to experience my work? Or how is my role to the curators or organizers, and how much agency or what do I have in there? And I'm just wondering about all of user experience, because like Crew has worked with interactive experiences in a theater context since 1995. Do you feel like maybe the audience has already learned a lot, or and maybe now with the new resurgence of VR and Meta, if maybe the audience is maybe now more aware or knowledgeable about how to experience?
Do you want to respond?
Sure. I think that I am sorry. I'm on this side of the aisle. I would get more inspiration from the gaming industry. Again, like I think, like also your question for me, maybe it's not the right word, but it's a question of scaling. Maybe it's not about scaling; it's about reaching people. It's about reach, even if it's like in an exhibition. How do you, instead of reaching one person every 5 minutes, how do you reach like 20 people, so that all of them maybe have a different experience, but it can. How do you present your art so it can have a bigger impact? Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be aimed at the whole world to enjoy it, but make it easier for people to experience it and have an impact, so that your work can have an effect in the world or touch people. And I would, I would recommend looking at the gaming industry and how they do things. Because I think that in this day and age also, especially like digital artists, if you do want, and you are struggling with the questions of reach, you have to look at some of these products that are on the market that have amazing reach, and bring that inspiration back into your work. So it's not only one-sided. It's not like you've been working in this field and you've been building like innovation, and then other people take that and just put some game developers on it, game designers, and make it like addictive. You know, you can also take something from there and put it into your work, and actually it can feed each other, I think. So
I would like to add to that. There's a thing which I actually think is a problem, especially in experimental media art, is how to approach your public, because different media, different contents require different types of viewing. And this is something very fundamental that is not being thought about enough. For example, I was in an exhibition and like half the works are interactive and half the works are not interactive. So you have like this table with a display and then you have someone passing by, tries to touch it, it does nothing and he moves to the next thing. But it's normal because he's expecting everything to do something. And if it doesn't do anything, then he's not in the right state of mind to do this. And every medium has its aspect to that, and you need to find the right way of letting people enter into that space. And at the same time, it changes all the time. Like, for example, if you did an interactive piece like 10 years ago, people would be like super jittery. But also, for example, they would believe certain things that now, if you show it to people, you cannot cheat them in the same way anymore because they have a lot more experience with media. So you need to constantly negotiate how are you going to approach people. And it's not easy. Sometimes people get angry in VR, for example. They don't like it that they're being taken advantage, they feel taken advantage of, and so forth.
Yeah. And sorry, not strangling you. The educating part, I don't know if education is the right word, but I see the challenge as well, because I can imagine that this medium offers so many different realizations in the actual real world or something, in the actual experience. Like it can be an immersive narration, it can be a performance, it can be an active or a passive role, it can be an observer, it can be spectator, it can be dark. I think the education, maybe I'm thinking of maybe a different word, maybe you're actually talking about education, but I interpret the question as sort of this guiding, and I don't just want to put it under the label of storytelling or assisting or things like this. But there is indeed a complexity, and I think that's a very relevant question, because also from the works that I've seen so many approaches that if I think of my group of friends, that every one of these pieces has a complete different entry and outry. So yeah, I see the challenge in that, and I think, yeah, I'm not sure how the future will look on that regard.
Yeah, I like the question, because education, it also goes in terms of aesthetics. The nice thing about it is there's no standard yet. So it's up to us to do things. There's no standard yet. And if you simply about VR, and you meet someone in VR, you are being touched. So do you touch the person? Someone real is standing there and is touching you at the same moment. I just take this as an example. The touch is not exactly on the right moment. So if you do things like that, people will say, but it was not exactly, I felt it was not real, things like that. You're moving, and the movement is, when you stop a bit, there's an inertia, it still continues. So it's not really these kind of things. So you can look upon this as shortcomings, and you can also look into it, this is the aesthetics. So time is becoming elastic and things like that. And in your head, you have the possibilities, you go from here to there. And so how do you come to see it like that? That's a big step. So instead of the, I got it. No, you need another way to move inside of these things. How do you educate towards that? That's not an easy thing.
I like the switch from education towards aesthetics, because education aesthetic, I think it's something that emerges and evolves over time.
It's how we judge. Is it good? Is it not good? Is it worth? Is it meaningful? So it has a lot to do with this. And it's a language which is still being made.
I have a very tangible example that we discussed yesterday in our workshop there. It's an artist who was talking about it's a kind of immersive theater. So it takes 20 people. They put like this kind of special space outfits, and they have to solve an enigma or something all together. And at one point there is so they have headsets. It's audio piece, and they walk a bit in a wild space, like can be, I don't know, a big school or something. So it's a big big. But at one point, they have to be all together because the actor will perform and give them some clues. So the artist is also interactive designer, and he talked to us about flowchart, which is this kind of design thing that you cannot expect the audience to do what you expect them to do, so you have to think about all possibilities, like what if he doesn't, I don't know, swipe, what if he doesn't see this way. So we also don't talk that much about education, but more like mediation, or also what role what autonomy, what degree of autonomy you give to the audience, and like exploring all the possibilities and also all the levels of skills, because you can have people who never interacted with an artwork and people who are gamers, so you will go from this spontaneous behavior to like totally not understand a shit. So yeah.
Yeah, no, a big thing that I've also, and I think it's not even mine, but and it relates to Alexander Schubert's presentation, the thing between agency and control. As a designer, as the orchestrator of the experience, it's this balance between how much agency you give to the actual spectator and how much control, because you could do text-based things where you just instruct very clearly or by voice or whatever, but this balance is something that is part of the, I think.
I can give also one, just sorry, last from me example. If it's an interactive piece and they need to make a certain gesture or touch a button and they have no idea, they never did before, from my experience in our product, that it's really, really a great experience if there's a character there that just shows them how to do it. Because humans learn best by watching other humans. It's our monkey brain. Like, it's very, very helpful.
Maybe
the word you use, mediation, so which is the simple reason why we always like to go live, and that there's always a live presentation, even if it be a voice, when you are being immersed. And that is not to tell someone do this or do that, but you know that people in a new thing, am I expected to do things? Am I forgetting something? So you get a kind of stress that you do not want. So you, in very simple ways, are together with someone and you lead him. Yeah, that's so mediation is a better word than how to do.
I thank you for elaborating on these questions as well, because we kind of have to round up this round table, but I would like to end with 5 minutes, yeah. So there's one final question that I would like to ask you, and maybe you can answer it for like your own personal interest in this. And I would also like to ask the audience afterwards, because we just talked about the challenges, but there's also obviously great opportunities. And you're all working with this medium. So I am really curious to hear what you think are the biggest opportunities for you and for your own practice within the field that you work in. And I would really love to hear from every single one of you, and maybe also open it up to the public. To also, if you have an idea, like, why am I working with this medium? What do I feel really excited about?
Yeah, sorry for being very Zuckerbergy, but I think the two things are like, one thing is connecting people. I mean, if it's like, for sure, it's always better. It's always going to be better to just be with people in a room, and it's going to be a connection there. But since we are living in a digital world, I wouldn't much prefer, of course, there's the form factor of headsets. Let's ignore that for a second. I would love to be in a world where I could have a long distance experience with anyone in the world and feel a presence that we talked a lot about today, and do things together, create things together. And the second thing, which is very important for me, is to empower creativity and open the doors for everyone. I think this is a potential in XR to have a golden age of creativity, that everyone is going to be building worlds and fantasy and mixing visuals, 3D with sound and interactions, and everything is going to be interactive. And I have a very optimistic vision of how things will look like.
Thank you.
From my side, maybe I will expand it just why working in art and technology, because in a way I hate how technology, as you said at the beginning, I really share this, like, you envision something and it never works and it's just problems and it costs so much money and this is so annoying. But in a way, this it has also this magical power of making us imagine some stuff that doesn't exist yet. And I can quote a bit this director of Sony Labs in Paris, who is a researcher, he's a mathematician, and he said when you put artists and technologists together around the same problem, it's a bit like it talked about the difference between inventing and innovating, and he said like sometimes you find a creative solution to a problem and you can see the solution, you just don't know how to reach it, and sometimes you even don't see the solution, you don't know where you will go and you can not even see it. And this is why artists are so good at like seeing stuff we don't even see yet, and this is for me really exciting.
Yeah, there are many things you could mention. Of course, being inside of something and working from inside. I was drawing before, and then being inside of the work, and of course, was the first idea. And there are many things that I could name, but the things which happened in the process, and that are so deep in the are the drive towards the future. So we had moments of excess, I would say, with this medium, where it's impossible to describe what happened. And so, can we do this again? Can we organize this? Can this lead to something? The answer is probably no. But yeah, that is, this medium can produce something really very deep, and intimacy has to do with it. It's usually not alone. It's usually in doing something with someone else, and then you have a strange, you are in each other's, well, it sounds cheap, like being in each other's body or something like that, but it's something that is happening exactly now and exactly not now. So these kind of things, which are, you can't, anyway, so that is drive.
Yeah, for me it's more like, I find it kind of enticing that it's kind of a fascist medium in a way, because you can really like get total control of people's perception, and it just gives you the opportunity to create very, very strong experiences, which is really, I used to do things immersive with lights and everything, and I really think that this way that you have of like creating this not really believable, almost like lucid dreaming state in this thing where you can influence people in a very deep way. Like you can get over the rational. I'm a very rational person, but I find it super cool that you can you can get behind the rational and can get in influence people in kind of. You have to be very kind of ethical about it, but it had a lot of potential in this way that I don't see with other media, and the entire area is still to be discovered. So that's super cool, I think.
Yeah, also big question or many answers, but for me it's the drive for curiosity that this medium sort of allows, and I mentioned it during the presentation as virtual reality as the metaphor for conscious experience, or the best technological metaphor we currently have. So it being quite incredible tool to lead us on this path towards fundamental insights into how our conscious experience arises and is also shared, like the social aspect, the social spaces that are created, generated, and disentangled through that medium, or can be disentangled, are something I'm curious about.
Thank you for sharing. Is there someone in the audience that would like to share what you think is most exciting? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jorge. I come from the dance background, so 20 years. And the last 5 years, I started working with technology. Something that I have found, like as a challenge, was that there was the need to do a praxis, and basically to getting better to not know what to do with the technology. So then I move away and then going back to the content conversation that you guys were having, or technology, of the tools, and it was again, I found that it's important to underline and give spaces, frameworks with you don't have to know what to do, especially with these tools that they are created with certain purpose. Yeah, with technology. And although in my practice in a big overview, that's what I try to promote or try to practice, an ontological practice within the machine, then it's back and forth, and then I'm constantly just in this process. I completely agree with what you were saying at the end. Like now I have a case of use, but I'm trying to go into VR because allow me to delayer and go into more concrete framework. But it's still, as a big umbrella, I think we should try to find frameworks or like ecologies where we can support not knowing what to do and being more comfortable with not knowing what to do, or content.
Is there someone else who would like to close? Really big question. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm not I'm not an artist. I'm not a producer. So I think I'm the public.
You're the public.
Nice.
Let him speak.
And
let him speak.
In that context, I want to say I'm a bit surprised. It's sometimes a bit like listening to Picasso talking about the quality of brushes and how he attracts people to a museum. I hope, and I think that really is the opportunity, because it's a very beautiful, powerful medium. I hope the discussions will be on the quality of light and the feeling you can express with these kind of medium, and how you can use art as something that can guide us in directions that the commercial world can't. Because that's, I think, what the public expects.
That's a beautiful ending. Thank you. Great. Thank you for sharing that beautiful last note. And thank you, everyone who participated in the discussion, also the audience, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge.
For our ears.